And here we go. It's one of those Fridays we're just banging out a podcast.
That's right. Doing what we do on a Friday. It's June 6th, 2025. Welcome aboard, everybody. You listen to the Crushing Iron Podcast. This is episode 856.
Yeah, it really is.
It is. It really is. It's kind of a sneaky busy weekend. I mean, June's always busy. We got Eagle Man, which I think is televised. It's in a sneaky, loaded, not loaded. Everybody says loaded every time. Very good pro field for Eagle Man this weekend. I think it'll be televised on Sunday as well. Then you got Des Moines, which is just about 2.5 hours north of me. Weather looks pretty good. But yeah, we're in the meat of the season. School's out. People are on vacation, doing what they want to do, and doing it when they want to do. But yet here we are, like you said, on a Friday, doing our do what?
I was gonna say, don't forget Western Mass.
Oh yeah, Western Mass this weekend too. That's right.
Oh yeah.
That's not an easy course either, man. Yeah, it is. It's full on 70.3 time, right? With June and July, and then you got Rockford. We'll have a huge contingency down there, or up there, I guess, for the first event. So yeah, great time of year, and we always do every 4 to 6 weeks a little bit of a Q&A. We did one with our Zoom this week. Had a lot of good questions, and so hey, why not ask our listeners? Our loyal fans and loyal faithful people that put up with us for the last 8 years. Some pretty good questions here. We'll see how far we can get again on this Friday. Pretty good questions, and again, these are always great because most people are thinking them. You just don't. Well, one, hopefully you're not on Facebook. It's like a really weird medium. You know what? We'll take suggestions. If you would like a different format to gain and collect questions, let us know. Let us know. You can just email me, Robbie@teach26triathlon.com. If you'd like a different, platform to deliver, because frankly, neither one of us like Facebook. Yeah, we use it for Q&As, and we also ask people to go there to follow our page and then drop in questions. And then the next podcast, we tell people to get off Facebook. So maybe this is a sign that people are listening. Maybe like the decrease in the amount of questions we're giving is people are, not on Facebook as much. I highly doubt that's the reason. But at least we can just tell ourselves that.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know, man. I wonder if they're bookmarking. I mean, because you almost got to go to the page. You know what I mean? I don't.
You
feel
do?
Like a lot of stuff shows up.
I don't even know how pages work. I'm not in a single group, really. I mean, I think I might be like occasional group. I don't even know what. Yeah, I haven't checked. But anyway, we got some great questions, so we'll hit them out today. First one, Jeff Lawn, top contributor. How do you work on run efficiency? We talk about being more efficient in our swim stroke or more efficient on pedaling the whole 360 degrees there, Jeff, on the bike with different drills. How do we listen?
365.
All 365 degrees on the bike with different drills. How do we do that with running? That's an excellent question. And it's weird, right? That we talk about that a lot with swimming, obviously, because, it is so technique demanding, and then running's right behind it. So I think there's a lot of ways you can do this. For me, like step one is to just increase run frequency. The more you run, because for a lot of us, right, like running efficiency comes more down to like being fatigue resistant and how long can we hold the form that we want to hold for the longest period of time before that form starts to degrade. Because run efficiency is great, but if you don't have the fitness to hold it, right, just like swim efficiency and swim, people that do drills, constantly over and over and over again, like you'll become great at the drill, but you can't swim for a long period of time because you don't have the muscular endurance to hold it. So there's a happy medium there. So it's a great start place is just on the base is just to create a lot of good, easy run volume and create a good chassis. Another good way is to always, in some of those, like maybe 2 or 3 of those, let's say you're running 5 days a week, sprinkle 2 or 3 of those days, probably even 3, especially the easy ones, maybe 3 to 4, is sprinkle in strides. Like always in some runs and strides. Or one of the things I like to do to kind of break up some of the runs that I give is I might let's say I give a 35-minute aerobic run, but I might do, 4 minutes and 40 seconds of easy running with 20 seconds of building to like 90%. Not all out 90%, which is, I think, a huge mistake people make with strides. They just go 15, 20 seconds all out. That's not strides. Strides is building all the way till you get up to that fast point, and then you immediately slow down. And then that way you break it up. So if you do that at 440 easy, 20 in strides, and then you do that 7 times, you get 30 minutes. It's a great way to kind of break things up, keep making sure you're keeping good run form, keeping that leg turnover going. That's another great thing. Hills, to me, are the best way to create really, really good run efficiency. And I don't mean like going out and finding the 8% grade, because that's not actually running economy. Like, you don't run like that. Like, when you pick a hill, and this is for all individuals, like when you go out and to find a hill, if you're really trying to work on running economy and run form, find one that allows you to keep actual run form. If the hill is too steep, then what happens is you actually end up shortening your stride a little bit and running on your tiptoes with the super short stride. So pick a hill like that. But to me, that's a really, really great way to work on your running efficiency. And then the last thing is do some steady state running. So like high zone 2, low zone 3. Like, I think I mentioned this a few days or a few podcasts ago, talking about one of the runs I did where I was kind of like hovering between easy, a little bit easier in aerobic was fine, but it was a little bit sloppier run stride and like just my normal run cadence. But if I upped it just a little bit, it allowed me to run with what I would more consider like my race stride, and do more of those. But yeah, those are a few ways to, of many to work on running efficiency and really good run form.
I'm sure that everybody loves hearing that. You need to run more to go. It's like,
right. They're like, yeah, thanks.
But seriously, I think that, that's at the core of everything, really. And when I think about this kind of stuff, I always think about just trying to run light, because I think a lot of us get in a habit, and especially, and I think that goes hand in hand with running more as you get stronger and able to hold it. But like, if you're braking on every stride, kind of getting your stride too long or whatever, and hitting the brakes, like in theory, I just try to, a lot of times I'll start, I do a lot of run walk. And so that's one way I do it, is kind of like, I try to keep my form a little bit better that way. And it's sort of like what you're saying, picking up your knees and just kind of getting the thing going. And I always think about cadence too. I'm always trying to increase my cadence a little bit. Just because to me, we talk about how sometimes running faster feels easier. And I think that's the reason, but obviously you can't hold it as long. But it just maybe feels easier because you're not pounding as hard. So I'm always thinking about the pickup and picking them up and putting them down kind of thing, but not pushing off as hard all the time. And that just puts me in a state of like cruise mode, and you get that real balance feeling.
I love the word cruise. I think it's I use it sometimes. I never use it in cycling, but I use that in some swim workouts, 300 cruise, where it's kind of like that. It's not race pace, but it's like, it's pressure, right? It's kind of talked about cycling that one week. It's not just pedaling and soft pedaling and coasting. It's like your constant pressure, right? It's like sometimes when we slow run and we're trying to like really focus on being aerobic, and I get it, like, especially right now where like you woke up one morning and it feels like fall and we just totally skipped summer, and then you woke up yesterday and it's like 95% humidity, 72 point, like, where the hell does this come from? It's hard to breathe. It's hard to find that, the kind of that new balance, because sometimes it is like you run aerobically sometimes to keep it reined in, and you're almost kind of slowing yourself down, right? You might be a 4-foot striker and you might shift a midfoot to heel, which again, everyone has a different stride, or a different, like, how they land with their foot placement. So you might find like it totally changes it. Having said that, like, there is a lot of good to come from that too, because guess what? Like, if you're doing a 70.3 or a full, especially a full, the majority of you are going to end up doing that easy run stride. Like the one that's on your heels, right? The one that's on your midfoot, because you're not going to be able to like have this really, really long race, kind of cadence, stride. But that's, to me, there's like steady state high zone 2 where you're kind of flirting, touching the ceiling on the low zone 3. To me, those are cruise intervals. I'm not going hard. I'm not even like teetering on uncomfortable. I'm just cruising at this pace that both feels good and the pace that looks good. And as long as you're breathing mostly out of your nose, I think that's a great way to approach a lot of your runs. Now, it might not. Now, listen, your heart rate might not reflect that.
Exactly.
Right. Which, and that's also okay. right? Because I think some of the times we get so caught up, right? And heart rate is important, right? Because it tells the stress your body is under more than it does the pace, right? Because it takes into account the conditions that you're in. You can go out and run 8-minute pace one day in 40-degree weather, and heart rate's at 150, and the next week you do 8-minute miles on your vacation down in Florida, and it's 92, and your heart rate's going to be 162. Right. So it's like there's a drastic difference, but your body knows that stress. But again, like the elongated, like the normal stride you want to race under, like there is some additional impact that comes with that. But, sometimes like even like right now is kind of a great time to replace maybe some of your top end speed work, depending on kind of where you are with your run form and run durability, and just do, instead of like doing some quote unquote intensity runs each week, just do, just do some cruise intervals. I'm not going to do, because guess what? Your pace is going to be more of your winter, fall, high zone 2, low zone 3 pace, but in heart rate. But if you're doing it right now, if you're running the same pace, your heart rate is going to be a little bit higher. So that will, in fact, be some of like quote unquote like that higher threshold heart rate work. So yeah, I love the word cruise and use a lot in swimming just for the exact same reason.
Yeah. Another thing, like I try to like find that, right? So, somewhere along the line, somebody told me to kind of work on different strides, right? Or like almost do it wrong on purpose, because then you can start finding what that real cruisy feel is, and that's a big deal for me. It's kind of, we talk about swimming that way too, like you said, and it's one of those things where you kind of hit it every once in a while, and then it's like, how the hell where did I find that? So I think it's important to kind of mess around with it a little bit and settle into what your perfect run stride feels like. I don't know. It's just a mystery sometimes, but we've talked about how sometimes you can just feel it and you're just balanced and you got that cruise going and it's just right on the money. And I think it's important to try to figure out why that happens and how to get it back when you need it.
Yeah, how to rein it and how to push it. And again, and another kind of like going into like the same kind of cruise interval, if you will, chat is negative split. Negative split running is also a really, really great way to work on running economy. Because if you can run well and run well late, you're doing it well. And if you can run well late, under load, under fatigue, you're doing it well. So, add in some of those, or even if you do an easy run, right, like an hour and 25 minutes, once you get to the hour and 5 mark, maybe, then just do like, minute and a half, 2 minutes cruise zone, or even zone 3 or zone 4 on easy intervals, just to kind of keep that stride going. It's just something you got to keep, especially with running, because again, running, most run, to me, it's because we've been having this conversation a lot. It's like, run injuries oftentimes, yes, they can obviously come from impact. But a lot of times the injuries that we see are the niggles or the strains that take us out for a couple of days, or a week or so. Like that kind of stuff comes from frequent imbalance and just how you're running wrong. And that's why also you see like, a lot of people who have horrific bike fits and they're so tight on the bike, but it's no impact thing with it. And then they go out and they run, their body's already off. One side's tighter than the other, one side's more strained than the other. And they go out and do these runs, they don't expect to feel anything. And then all of a sudden they're like, man, it's really kind of popped up. And now you're starting to run weird after 20, 30 minutes trying to overcompensate. And it's because you're right. Like just so many things are because, we don't do things even. We don't do things, and we just start to overcompensate with things. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Obviously, main thing again, to recap, run more frequently, include strides, include hills, negative split, and add in some cruising. Those are all really great ways to increase running efficiency. The last thing on that, like once you've done all those things, the last thing I might add to that is if you're in the off season, you can add in some heavy strength training like deadlifts, back squats, things like that. Like that does improve running economy, doesn't necessarily improve run speed, but you could argue like chicken for the egg. Like if you can hold form for a longer period of time, it's more efficient, better economy. It's going to allow you to hold speed for longer. So that's a wrap on Triathlon and the running economy. Unless you had anything else to add.
No, I think it's good.
Benita, I completed 4 70.3 races in 2022 through 2023
Congrats.
and my first Ironman last November. I'm having a very hard time wanting to get back to it mentally, but I'm planning on doing 70.3 North Carolina this October. How do I get over this slump, and is it normal? Well, we're both here to tell you it's normal. It's been normal. It's normal for me. It's normal for you. It's normal for a lot of athletes. I mean, I wouldn't can say like, I wouldn't say that's a super condensed, because I've seen way worse, but it is. Like it's, listen, like again, you and I both go through this all the time, and our athletes go through it. We deal with it on a weekly basis. When you do so much in such a condensed period, um, it takes its toll. And I think a lot of times your mind wants something that your body is saying it doesn't want anymore. Or your body's saying, I really, really want this. And your mind's like, but no. And that's not even including like where your heart is. My biggest thing would be, I go old school, get out a sheet of paper, write down all the reasons you love training, and then on the the next column, write down all the reasons why you're resistant to training. Because there's a reason. Listen, it is okay to not want to race, but to train. Because a lot of times, I'm telling you, like I think races often for people who are in struggling with motivation or have a race that's close, I feel like for a lot of people, a race is a training killer because you see no win. Like you said, so we'll use Uvenita as an example here. You got North Carolina 7.3 in the calendar, and that's what, second, third week of October, I think. You're probably looking at yourself and you're thinking, man, I just did 7.3s. I just did my first Ironman last November. So that was probably what, Florida, Cozumel, Arizona. But I'm so far away from where I want to be, but I've got this race. And so I've got a race. If you got a race, it means you have goals. And you have goals, you have expectations. And you've just done races, so you want to be better. So every day that you don't train because motivation is gone or you're too tired or you're not feeling it, you now get farther and farther and farther from those, which completely drains your motivational bucket. So like a good visual might be like you fill up a 50-gallon tub with water, and that's you at full motivation, ready to rock, just signed up for my race. I printed off my active receipt. I put it in the folder. I posted my, registration on social media. Now it's real. I put a countdown clock in my Garmin. We're good. Step 3 is join the Facebook group for the race. Check. Hashtag things are getting real. Once you've gone through all those things, your bucket's full, maybe even overflowing. I'm pumped. I'm jazzed. You maybe bought a new like aero helmet. You booked your hotel. You're ready to go. That is peak motivation. That jug is completely full. But what happens is each time we kind of go through a dip in motivation or an obstacle in life or a high stressor or even even a little bit of self-doubt, it's like we're taking a little pin and poking holes in the bottom of that gallon or bottom of that jug. Not all the water's creeping out, but a little bit is. And every time we miss a workout, we poke another hole. Not because we're losing all this fitness, but in our head, right, that created this motivational bucket, we're getting further and further and further from our goal, which most people creates less and less motivation, right? Like if you're going to lose, a lot of people are like, why am I even doing it? Because I know I'm going to lose, right? It's not, and that's why I think so many times like races can kill training progression for people who are just starting to find their way. Like, let's say you're one of those people who's really, I know a lot of people like this. I coach a lot of them. They kind of go through, whether you want to call it seasonal depression or loss of motivation. It's real, right? It's cold, it's dark, it's dreary, it's lonely. You don't want to do anything, right? So you don't train as much. And then it gets to be nicer outside. People are taking walks. More people are outside. And just seeing that gets you more motivated. You can run outside, ride outside, swim outside. It's like a whole different world to open up to you. but you really want to race in September, October, November, but you already know you're so far from where you really wanted to be if you had stuck with what you were doing for you, Vanita, back in November. So you had those like in the background, but what if you didn't have a race? What if you just trained to be better, to get fitter, to be stronger, to enjoy it? And let's say that race wasn't, you would just keep going. You'd knock out June, you'd knock out July, you'd knock out August, September. Let's say there's no race and just blow your way through November, December on this nice, consistent streak. And so again, like, I don't think there's a magic pill to get over the slump, but I think I do. I mean, I'm sure you see this all the time, Mike. Like, races sometimes ruin people with the proximity of where they are compared to where the person is with their training and when they're finally starting to come around, because they know now. Same thing. Like, a lot of times want to they want to be motivated and they want to place the goals for a race on the current motivational level that they have. But the last 3 months you haven't done anything. But the last 2 weeks you've been consistent. I'm killing it, bro. I'm nailing it. Well, you're in much worse shape than a person who killed the previous 3 months and just took the last 2 weeks off vacation. But their mindset's flipped. They're like, I'm so out of shape, right? It's like we're such a prisoner of the moment, and then we use that to kind of like compare and battle against our deadline that it's just really, really hard. And I think, again, like, remove the race, pretend like you're not going to do it. Pretend like you're not going to do it. Because it's just pressure for you right now. And sometimes if we feel like we're going to lose or we're already hard on ourselves, every day we skip a workout, we're harder. That's why, like, taking a day off for some people is really hard to give them, because they already struggle with consistency. And the next day they're going to wake up wanting to not do it again because they're used to not doing it again. So, I mean, again, that's not a magic pill. I'm sure you got a lot of great advice too, Mike. But I say scrap the race, not defer, or just pretend like it's not there. And if it wasn't there, what kind of freedom does that open up for you on a day-to-day basis?
I actually really love what you said there. I mean, it's whether you have a race or you're not have a race. I mean, at some point, because races can, at least early in our journey, they can kind of feel like these bucket list kind of motivator. That becomes the motivation. You don't want to like go there and just completely tank it and whatever. But at some point, like, I had to look at myself and just decide that I wanted to play the long game. It's sort of like I owe this to myself and to my body and to my health and to, everyone around me or whatever, to keep in the game. And yeah, if you're thinking about, every time you got to nail a race or whatever, that can be a lot of pressure. And at some point, you have to do it for yourself. And like you're saying, take that race out of the equation. Is it something you want to do? And I had to turn inward to do that. It's sort of like I can't use external motivation now anymore, because I'm either doing this because I want to do it and because it feels good, or I'm doing it for somebody else. And that, to me, is the big differentiator, right? It's something you want to do, and a lot of times I struggle with that. And the way I kind of handle it is, I really struggle with biking a lot, as much as I have always loved it in a sense. I mean, the TT bike thing. So I'll always get on my mountain bike or figure out a different way to kind of stimulate that energy. Or maybe it's, you feel like running, just start to run more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Just pick one. I think that the three sport thing can feel overwhelming. Even when I'm going good, I'm like, yeah, I'm really nailing the bike now. And my run feels good. Shit, I got to start swimming. Like, it's always something. So to me, it's just about kind of getting the momentum going always, just find something you like. You can't always like to do swim, bike, run 365. It is 365, right? Not 360. But you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you just got to figure out, I think, something that feels good and you enjoy doing as far as movement goes, and then kind of let everything sort of start falling into place as you get more fit. Because it kind of sucks when you suck at everything.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You've had that. That's why so many people don't go run, because when they do go run, they run so hard, they're so out of breath and so out of shape, they want to stop after 5 minutes. Like, why does anyone run? That's people quit all the time. And so, no, I get, I'm right there with you. I just think it's so important, again, for one exercise I might do, and I've done it before with a few athletes, and Vanini might do this, is like, pick a fake date. What date on the calendar do I feel like I have plenty of time to be ready for? It might be February 3rd. Then pick February 3rd as like your fake race date, and just remove North Carolina from your Training Peaks calendar and train as if that is when, because if that, again, it's an arbitrary date, but sometimes people need that. Like, yeah, I think in 8 months I'm consistent, I can do this. Now you've got hope. Yes, we know it's not real. Just like setting your clocks, 5 minutes ahead. We all know it's not. It's like, I got plenty of time to set my clock forward. It doesn't work like that. But the freedom of not feeling the pressure of how immediate a race is going to be, again, like you said, can be just freeing to then open up at least progression. Because again, that's what it should be about. Am I getting better? Am I getting healthier? Am I doing things for myself to be a better person, to be a better spouse, to be a better, grandmother, grandfather, father, son, mother, whatever it is? That's why we should do it. And again, so maybe make those columns and make a fake date, but work your way through it, and don't let a race that might feel close, you don't have the motivation for, ruin your trajectory.
Yeah.
And that's when you see people just flail in the wind aimlessly. And with if you have no direction, you do have a direction. It's called going backwards. If you're rudderless and compassless, you have no direction whatsoever, you do actually in fact have a direction, because you're going backwards. Period. So just even a little bit of movement forward is 4 times the progress you would make by doing nothing. Even though it might seem like zero, right? It's kind of like in basketball, somebody goes down and makes pulls up for a crap 3 on a breakaway that they shouldn't have driven to the layup, and they go out and they brick it, and the other team goes the other way and drains a 3 and gets fouled. They always call it like a 6-point swing.
Mm-hmm.
Because your mistake that you could have had easy points gave way to and opened the door for the other team to gain points. So it's a 6-point swing. And that's what happens when we don't do anything, right? There's a huge swing in the other direction. So just doing something is it's just so underrated. Just doing something and not being perfect and not being amazing. It's just like, I get so sick and tired of reading it, obviously. And again, like going back to the social media stuff, it's like, it's you talked about it being intimidating. It makes life intimidating. You're like, I don't that's not really how my life is. I don't feel it's amazing. And it's like, that's what most people's aren't, right? Like, you just see what you see. You see what people want you to see. That kind of stuff's way overrated, because it's also not sustainable. And just find something that's sustainable, because again, movement forward is so much better than movement backwards.
Yeah, and I do have some athletes that when they create, and you've talked about this before, but it's just sort of their lifestyle. It's what they do, and I think a lot of us look at a race date and think of it as the end of sorts, or at least a temporary ending, when it should actually be a great catapult forward. It's a race is a great fun training day boost. And if we go into it with like, I just got to get there, and then that finish line, and then I'm done. And then, you create that sort of, peaks and valleys lifestyle that I understand beautifully. It's sort of like I get done and I'm like, thank God. But that's really the wrong way to think about it. It's got to be part of the whole program.
Yep.
You just, if you're serious about yourself and being a stronger, faster, better person, or whatever, or the longevity of it. It has to be a piece of the puzzle. It can't be the finished puzzle that you hang on the wall all the time and just go, I did that. Now I don't have to do shit. I think but I get it. It's hard not to, as soon as I get done with Ironman, I hang up my shit every day, but,
That's right.
But it's true. But I try to keep something going,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that becomes, some running later on, but I don't know, man. I just think you got to do it for yourself, and that has to be all the motivation you need.
Yep. Agreed. Next up, Candace Taylor. How much open water swimming do you recommend in training? How it contributes to swim fitness versus pool workouts, and when it comes to not just getting comfortable with open water swimming. Yeah, yeah, this is a tough one for me. Um, you know, I, from personally, I'm a significantly better swimmer in open water than I am in the pool. I was going back and forth with an athlete about this the other day. It's like they're like, yeah, when I get in the pool, it always takes me a couple hundreds to get into a swim stroke and a swim, rhythm. But in open water, I just get right into my stroke, and that is me.
Hmm.
I hop right into it, and I'm immediately in rhythm. I know my stroke, I know my cadence. It feels good. I just got it, and I love it. I think a lot of it too is just like I know that I'm about to be going for a long period. Whereas swimming, it breaks up no matter if you got good flip turns or not. It's breaking up that rhythm, and a lot of triathletes don't have any rhythm when they swim. So if it's not about getting comfortable, to me the first thing you've got to weigh is one. Yeah, I'll just be honest. If you're gonna take the time to go do an open water swim, and for most people, it's a journey, right? You don't have a lake behind you like you've got. Like most people, it's you got to schedule it. You can't just I think I'm gonna go swim open water today. Unless you get like the day off work, like that just don't happen. You gotta plan for it, and that is training time. So like you think swimming in a pool is a bad return on time investment. Open water swimming for some people is even worse. If you're not gonna go swim more than 2,500, I think it's a total waste of time. I don't see any benefit. Again, because we're not talking about getting comfortable in open water. If you're getting comfortable in open water, yeah, I think there's a benefit to going out and doing 1,500, whatever. But when I see people go out there and splash around for 300 or 400, I'm like, what are you even doing?
Mhm.
Like, well, why are we wasting 2 hours of your day to go spend 8 minutes in the water? Like that's just that, if you want to do that, just sign up for the single lane that's going the same time water aerobics is going. You're going to get the same benefit. You're going to get the same wash. So if you're going to take the time out of your day to go do open water, you got to swim at least 2,500 to 3,000. Period. And I know no one wants to hear that. I'm here for it. I know you don't want to hear that's how long you just swim, but if you really want to get in, because I mean, we all know this, right? Like people still to this day in triathlon, they're like, I just don't know why I'm so much slower. I'm like, do you understand how much slower you feel going from a 25-yard pool to a 50-meter pool? Like no one ever feels that slow, right? Going from 25 yards to 50 meters is when you're having one of those days on the bike and you're like, my PSI must be low or my brakes are rubbing. Like I had a guy, I was in the pool last week and here at the hub, and I forgot my jammer, so I was swimming in like my baggy like Lulu athletic shorts, and the pool was just really too hot. I felt slower than molasses, and I got done. He was like, "How was it?" And I said, "My brakes are rubbing." So
Yeah.
my brakes got to be rubbing somewhere because this can't be real life. That's what 50-meter pool is. So and it's all because it's just a little bit longer, and you don't get one flip turn. Now multiply that by 20, 30, or 40 people. Like that's why you're that much slower. So if you really want to get better at like open water swimming and do it really, really well, you got to be out there for again, 2,500, 3,500. You got to be swimming straight. You can break it up however you want to, right? You can take interval rests if you want to. Very similar to kind of like I broke up the running with strides. Create a workout on your watch. This is one of the times it's actually great to create a workout on your watch for swimming, but it's just time based, right? It's not anything. You're not watching yards because again, open water GPS stuff is trash. It's like wearing an optical heart rate monitor. Is just set your timer, to go, or set up a RPE workout open water swim for, 9 minutes cruise, 1 minute tread. Repeat 4 times. Done. Bye. It really is that simple. Give yourself a time or decrease it from a minute to 30. Do 9:30 and then tread for 30. Just something that to me, if you're going to go open water and now the question is like, how much do you recommend it? I would say once you get to that point, every other week is ideal. But again, that's just not real life for most people. Like I know, Candace, I know you live close to the ocean. Like that's, it's easier, but well, not really makes it easier. It all depends on your life. Like how much of a detour out of your life is it going to take you to go do it? and how much do you feel like you actually need it? But even for a guy like me that's that comfortable in water, if I'm training for a race and I'm being super serious, going forward, and I look back at like not doing a lot of open water, I probably want to get out there for maybe once a month in the final 3 months for just a long straight swim. If nothing more than to be in my wetsuit for that long a period of time. Because that to me, that's the biggest, kind of confidence boost or knowledge that you gain is how am I really feeling in my wetsuit? Is it feeling a little bit snug, right? Or is it right on target? Or am I too hot? These are all things that people try to figure out the day before the race, and they go swim all of like 200. Be like, yeah, this is perfect. I'm like, it's like, yeah, getting your bike fit and riding on the trainer for 3 minutes. Like, yeah, dude, you nailed it. I feel so much better.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
So do it in actual conditions, and gain something from it. If your wetsuit feels too tight or it's too restrictive, like, that was something that I talked about on the Zoom call on Wednesday that I have walked back on in the last couple of years. Yes, is a full sleeved wetsuit faster than a sleeveless? 100%. Having said that, a sleeveless wetsuit is much faster than no wetsuit at all. And I hate wearing a wetsuit. I hate it. I despise it. I look for every reason not to wear one. I feel like it restricts me. I don't know what the deal is, but I mean, I don't like it. I hate it. I have no feel for the water, so I just choose not to wear one. So in the future, if I ever bought a wetsuit again, I would buy sleeveless, because having the option to at least wear one is better than going the complete other direction and not having one. That's just things that you learn the more and more you swim in it. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of value, but if you're gonna go. I'm sorry, I don't see the point in taking an hour and a half out of your day to go piddle around and splash for 800 meters, where you're probably not even going to swim 800 meters straight. I don't get it, and I don't think you get any better.
Well,
In fact, they can get worse.
well, but you hit on it. I think a lot of it is how do you feel? How comfortable are you? It's sort of the more you do it, the more comfortable you might get. And like you said, man, I've done it both ways in the last 2 years, which is interesting. The 2 years ago or 3 years, whatever it was, in the pool, I didn't do any open water that year. And then I moved up here, and all I did last year was open water. But the pool difference was, for me, I felt about the same in both races, is my point here. But when I was doing the pool, I just had to put in a lot more yardage. A bigger swims, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 yard type thing. That was what helped me. And then when I was out here last year, I think all I did was open water, and I didn't do a ton, but like I did some 3,500, 4,000, couple of those. And, but your point is so valid, man, because you're swimming straight and, for a long time. And if people aren't used to that, they wonder why if you saw, you look at your pace over the course of a 4,000 yard swim or whatever, it's probably going to be dropping pretty consistently if you're not used to going long, and that you said it earlier, we're talking about cruising. To me, that's what I was looking for last year. When I did open water, I was always just trying to find that cruise zone. And I'm not saying I was getting better necessarily, but I was just getting to the point where I could feel, that race distance and be comfortable with it. I think most people, end up wanting to cruise like a long swim like that in a race. I mean, I don't think, a lot of people are going super hard the whole time or whatever and comfortable with it. So I think it is about finding that ability to be comfortable and cruise and, just sort of that jogging in the water pace.
Yeah, I mean, there's again, get out there and cruise. Some people are like, hey, can I get some intervals for the water? I'm like, let's just swim open water. Let's just get out there and cruise. But yeah, I mean, again, like you said, it's different for everyone. Because again, a lot of times, I know we can say like, not about getting comfortable, but comfort is speed. The same thing goes for, kind of like we use the bike fit analogy is like, anyone can be comfortable for 3 minutes, but if you can't hold your new, snazzy aero position for 5 hours, it's useless. It's slower. So get out there and cruise. Let's do last question of the day.
Yeah, we're
Tommy Bonds. How much
Bonds.
running is too much running? Question mark. What does a typical training plan look like for a 50 or 100-mile race? Understand that is unique to the individual and other events. This has been covered before, but what are the benefits of trail running compared to road, and does trail improve road racing?
He knows
Excellent
the answer
question.
to that.
I know he does, but
He's
and I'm the
answering
one
that
making, and
question
I'm the
that he
one
already
making his
knows.
plan. But still, listen, it's a great question because yes, we've gone over it before, but I mean, we're 856 podcasts deep, so we've done a lot of shit before. We're still here. The biggest question that I have every single time, like an athlete's like, hey, I've got a trail race coming up, and it's 50 miles, whatever, what's training look like? My first question is, what's the trail like? Are we talking? Because like, there's a billion different definitions of what a trail race is.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are like paved asphalt for fucking 100 miles. I'm like, oh, it's a trail race. Soft, I'm like, that to me, that's like just you're different. No, it's like 100 miles on the road. No, thank you. Totally different. Like fit in, what kind of terrain is it? Is it dirt trails that are compact, easier on the joints, very, very little change in elevation and pretty flat? Then that is totally different training from a mileage standpoint than rooty, rocky, hilly, technical terrain. I mean, same distance, a 50-mile, short and not short, but a 50-mile flat, easy, runnable race versus a 50-mile hard, hard terrain, really hard on your body. You got to walk a little bit, rocks and roots and very technical downhills, uphills. Like, I mean, you might talking like an hour and a half, 2 hour difference. I mean, that's a lot, So like on one hand, the 50-mile, just to give you an example, like the person doing a 50-mile trail race that's flat, I would recommend 90% of their training on the road, because it's still about how quickly you can cover the distance. And if it's flat, not technical, we're still, I would probably do like a regular marathon build and just try to run it. If you can run a really, really, really fast marathon, that's how, I mean, if you listen to most of like the top trail running coaches talk, that's how they train people to do Leadville 100. If you can run a really fast open marathon, you'll do great because it's very runnable. It's a very, very, and again, like so many people focus way too much on, a trail race, doing their running on trails. Well, if it's not super technical, you're not doing a lot of hiking and descending and up, it's like, then you're not practicing getting faster, because again, the goal is to finish the race as quickly as possible. And so I would probably do it's the same, a really, really, really good, maybe longer marathon build, but 100, you're a different story. Like really, the only thing I would change is do double up runs like Saturday, Sunday, like long run Saturday, long run Sunday. It's about accumulating mileage. And the other thing I remind every single athlete that I talk to, I said, this is not a 100-mile run. This is a 100-mile walk run. You will walk, right? You are not going to run the whole thing. You're just not. Like there are very few people on the planet that can run the whole thing. So yeah, it's a combination of the terrain, how long, the conditions, and then obviously the speed in which you currently are at, and then we can estimate how long it's going to take you to cover X distance. If it's hilly, then you got to do more hill work, right? Honestly, I'd replace quality runs for a technical race. I do this a lot. We had Black Canyon, and we've done Leadville. Like a lot of athletes do these crazy, races with a ton of incline. Like I replace one of the run quality workouts with hiking and downhills. Like be able to hike and go downhill. And then obviously adding in some strength training and then ankle work, because the same message I give to every runner who does a trail run or any kind of a race, it says whoever keeps their feet and their ankles the healthiest the longest wins. Because once you take a misstep, it's game over. One misstep and it's game over. Because then you start to lean to one side and you start to baby things and your whole gait changes. It's different for every person, but I mean the biggest thing to me is, and again, I think most trail runners would tell you this at the top level, like they do probably 80% of their stuff on the road, because it's still about getting faster. Unless it's super technical, then maybe a little bit less.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like what you said about the ankles and everything like that, because it's really what it is like, are you flexible and mobile and strong enough to handle all that shit? A little bit of a misstep or whatever can really throw you into, pickle. But I mean, a lot of these races, I mean, a lot of times I have athletes doing like a 50K or a 50 mile or something like that in the middle of triathlon training. So do you advocate like cycling as a complement?
For sure. I mean, it's for a lot of people. I mean, and this is even for some, like, depending on the triathlete, like all easy cycling. It's great aerobic base, which is
Yep.
because if you think about it, like your aerobic cycling is the exact heart rate level you're going to be probably doing your ultra in with no pounding. And then and then save your hard days for the running. I'll occasionally, depending on the athlete and what they're doing, I might use big gear work. It just grinding it out. It's not like an apples to apples, but it's not far off from like, from inclines. It works it out and it just creates a little bit more, intensity, and durability, which is all you care about at that level, is just how durable, how long can you run with really good run form. That's it. But yeah, or cycling is great for recovery. Same thing with swimming, right? And depending on I usually ask them, like, before we get into a build, like, what do you like the most, swimming or cycling? Oh, I love to swim. All right, then sometimes we just like get rid of the bike completely and swim a ton, because I see a huge benefit in, and I think we have a podcast about it, swim fitness, how it translates to run fitness. And so, and it's just a great day. It's just a great opportunity to kind of shake out the legs and the body and loosen up a little bit.
Love it.
Love it. Leave it. And we will too. That's it. That's all we got for today. Hope you have a great Friday. Good luck to everyone racing this weekend. Have fun. Control your controllables. And that is it. Execute and effort is all you can control. So do those. Have fun. And we wish you the best. As always, go to our website, c26triathlon.com. It is our one-stop shop for all things coaching, camps, and community. If you need anything from Mike, he's available. Mike at c26triathlon.com. If you need anything from me, Robbie at c26triathlon.com.
All right, dude. Have a great weekend.
All right, man. You too, buddy. Check you later.
See ya.